Awesome.
Good to be up here with you, Carmen.
Nice to be up here with you too, Sam.
Nice to meet you. Well. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon in windy Las Vegas. Very windy. Should call it the Windy City. Is that trademarked already? We should figure that out. Really excited to speak with Carmen today on a compelling topic around AI tools and changing the marketing landscape. Carmen, Vice President of Marketing, Channel Marketing, Sales Enablement, and Digital Ecosystem at Qualcomm. Does that fit on a business card?
No, it does not.
No, okay.
Just an acronym. We're in tech. We do acronyms.
Right on. Well, to kick things off, what was the last application of AI that you used for non-work related reasons?
Okay, Sam and I had fun with this question beforehand to kind of bring it home and bring it to life. So I have a daughter who's newly engaged. And if anyone can remember that time for yourself or around people who are, there's a lot of stuff that comes at you. They're like, oh man, I just don't even want to know what to say to that. So we were on a dress hunting trip for my daughter, and it was my two daughters and I, and we got a text that asked us to do something we really didn't want to do. And we had all these amazing responses in our head, which were super inappropriate to say back in the text message. And my younger daughter said, Mom, I'll just put this in ChatGPT and I'll ask it how to say it nicely instead of how we actually want to say it. And so that was our application we used recently.
Yeah, that's a great use. I was looking up remedies for lower back pain because I threw my back out on Sunday, 3 weeks after I turned 40. I think that's a sign. So I am wearing a corset, if you will, but that was a AI engineered purchase decision. So chalk it up to a win for technology. All right, let's get serious. Can you tell us a bit more about your role at Qualcomm and a bit about your career path that landed you there?
Sure, 100%. So I actually have a brand new role at Qualcomm, but the role that I've had most recently was actually implementing a new marketing technology and go-to-market capabilities for Qualcomm. So Qualcomm is on a path to diversification. So typically we've been known in the smartphone space, and we are very fastly accelerating into new spaces, both automotive, IoT, and also the compute space. And so my role coming on at Qualcomm, previously I had been at HP for 25 years, and I've been at Qualcomm for 3 years, was to stand up new marketing capabilities to enable our diversification strategy. And with that comes how we do marketing and bringing marketing into the needs and requirements of these new businesses that we're operating in. And so this topic of AI for marketers is a really important one and part of what we hope to do.
Amazing.
But I have a new role.
Even newer.
Even newer.
Well, let's hear it.
So I have a new role, and that is I'm going to be the lead over all of our compute marketing, and that's encompassing all the marketing disciplines. So it's a big initiative that Qualcomm has, and I'm happy to talk about how that also connects in with AI and device AI capabilities at the edge and how that helps to power and enable it. So that's my new role as of a month.
Does that one fit on a business card?
Way better.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. We're getting more efficient. This is perfect. So clearly the marketing industry is experiencing significant transformation with AI. How do you see on-device AI specifically reshaping the future of marketing? And what unique advantages does it bring compared to cloud-based solutions?
Yeah, so I think this is a really important question because I think a lot of the familiarity that we have in our space has to do with cloud-based AI solutions. And so I think this is a key one that Sam and I kind of put at the beginning of the conversation. And that is to introduce the topic of how many things are actually happening on device in AI that you might not already be realizing are happening, but is also starting to be enabled. So many of you have the phones in your pockets, and you may just not realize how much AI technology is already going on, processing the pictures that you take to beautify them, taking and removing objects, but all that amazing computing power that is actually happening on your phone, taking very low power, but really enabling all these capabilities on device. But even more of that is coming. So in our computing technology platforms, with our Snapdragon X series of chips that we've released with Microsoft Copilot, you can do things like click to do, you can translate in languages on your device that happens right and doesn't have to go to the cloud, so you can do it when you're on an airplane. You can actually do all of these capabilities sitting there on your device without even being connected to Wi-Fi per se. And I think the really cool one that someone on our team shared with me is like, Mandarin's a pretty complex language. Does anyone in the audience speak Mandarin? One person in the back, okay? Who all works with people or has the need to possibly translate things into languages or communicate? Tons of people, right? So on our device, on the edge, you can actually translate Mandarin to English and other languages, and we're the only platform that has the computing power to be able to do that. So those are some of the things that, like, I even have a colleague that I've worked with, and she had a new job in, supporting another region, but sitting in another one. She didn't really speak the language super well, but she wanted to have the credibility with her stakeholder community to use the language, the local language. And so she would use those AI capabilities to help her speak better and engage better in meetings. So that's just some real examples of how we can use it every day in our life.
And how is it scaling?
So it's scaling to so many different platforms. And I think that's the really important part for us to realize, that the elements of what we know today, so much more is going to be possible for us. Whether that's in IoT or what's happening inside of your car. I mean, the AI that's happening in your car is just amazing. We have in the booth over on the main show floor, one of our core elements we're showcasing is actually automotive, and how AI is really in automotive in those places. But it's also happening in cameras around, and being able to do fast, quick processing, keeping it private, keeping it secure, and keeping it closer to people is really important. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of what Qualcomm's helping to enable as a company in AI.
That's great. I mean, I think when I think AI and auto, I think self-driving, but obviously the application is so much broader.
Yeah, detecting people, helping you park, telematics, all of those types of things.
Awesome. So Qualcomm has positioned itself as a leader in on-device AI. Can you walk us through your journey in bringing this tech to different industries, like you just mentioned, but particularly within the auto and computing sectors?
Yeah, so we recently have actually done, I'll pick compute because that's my new line, and I just talked about auto. So we actually launched our series of extremely powerful PCs that are very strong on both performance, but also processing power to be able to handle that new technology and that AI at the edge. And that's done via an NPU with our computing platform. And so it's actually pretty amazing that we're launching these new category of products and bringing what is mobile phone technology into other devices and helping that scale across the things that people use every day.
Right on. So I think this is probably a relevant topic for this audience. As it relates to marketing professions and AI, could you share your perspective on how marketing professionals should be approaching AI, not as a replacement, but as an enhancement tool?
Yeah, we actually, being an AI company, as I explained, Qualcomm is pretty experienced in what are both the opportunities, but also what can be the risks of AI and how to manage through that. And so from a marketing profession, we've had a lot of tools in the last couple of years. Probably when we were sitting here on stage last year, it was more the ideation of things, but not a lot of it really implemented from a marketing perspective. And in the last year, companies like us who've been able to be progressive and know how to manage through creating those environments have been able to start utilizing these tools every day in what is an enterprise-grade way of managing and having AI. And so, like, to give you an example, one that we like to talk a lot about is actually our use of Writer at Qualcomm. And the cool beauty of this application of Writer is when my team brought it to me, again, I managed MarTech, and when they brought it to me, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be some side thing, whatever. But this thing has taken off, and it is cross-discipline across marketing. Catherine's here from our comms team, and actually our comms team is potentially the biggest user of Writer. And we actually implemented it via a process that we brought in the people that might be concerned or have elements that they would want to make sure were managed, like our legal team and all of that. And through that process, through IT, legal, marketing, all working together, in really a short 3-month time period, we were able to onboard this AI solution. And we ran a test, we had some core users, and in that time frame, over 70% of the people who were using them said they wanted to continue using it. We now actually have legal uses it. We have trademarks trained in it. We have voices and tones of executives like we want to talk through, like keywords we want to bring up. All of that gets helped and optimized. And our team members will tell you, like, a core example, hey, I need to create a 250-word abstract of this long article. Or all this news has come in over, like, CES. You dump all that in, and it'll give you this beautiful summary with all the core things that we know we care about. And it saves everyone so much time. So many people also talk about things like Adobe in the creative space and images and that type of thing. So I think that is just going to continue with like Adobe Express. We're a core Adobe user. That's all going to start happening too.
And it seems like there must be some significant mindset shifts to enable teams to be successful in shifting gears and embracing these technologies.
Yeah, so I think your opening question is a view into like what we as marketing leaders need to be providing for our teams. And we need to be providing them cutting edge tools in ways that they're used to working today. Most people who went to school during the pandemic got pretty darn good at using ChatGPT to help them do their work. And it's the same element. It's not that it's a replacement of you, it's a help of refinement and taking all of that time. I mean, I used to use Microfiche when I was in college, shouldn't maybe admit it, but a search engine was a cheat then, right? So it's a matter of like really staying ahead of that and providing them with the tools that they need in order to be successful. And it's gonna help us do more deep thinking. I try to say it's more like it's the assistant or the friend that you need, that you wish you had, that's just not always there for you. But this one's always there. And it helps you be able to do more deep thinking work.
And you touched on it briefly just now, but are there any other specific examples of how marketing teams within Qualcomm are integrating AI tools for enhanced productivity or to just enhance their work more broadly?
Yeah, so I mentioned the writer example specifically, and we're also have things that, you have to think through the privacy of what you're working through, and so that's a really important element in the process. And so when we do that, there are other tools, whether it's marketing or other teams, that are really starting to come to life, like code generation and those types of things. I think there's some ideas on the forefront. You were mentioning one actually a little bit, but I think has the opportunity. And that is it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the web space. So we've talked about text. We've talked about some image creation. It's going to be very interesting to see how we're able to mirror the data that we have around things and the experiences together and where that's going to take us next. I think that's going to be a really amazing place to see what we do from a marketing profession. And I look forward to the tech companies that create that so we can use it, because I think that's going to be fantastic.
So I'm a sales guy. I'm curious, how has Qualcomm's approach to digital transformation been unique in bringing together sales as well as marketing with IT teams? And what lessons have you learned that you could share about some of that cross-functional collaboration?
Thank you for this question, because this is actually my third MarTech transformation that I've done at different companies. And the first one was part of like a separation activity. And so kind of the money was flowing. Everyone understood the purpose. I was younger in my career. I'm not going to call it easy to do because the tech was still new, but we figured it out and everyone already had their core purpose. The next time I went to do a marketing technology transformation, everyone understood the purpose, but no one wanted to pay. And so in that scenario, you have like the fighting silos of an organization. I see anyone been in this situation, right? They want the benefits of the tech, but they don't want to lay down the money. And they don't want to hire the teams, and they just want the benefits, but they don't want to do the work. And they also don't want to sacrifice their area because everyone's looking at their goals. I need to do this, I have to do that. I want to make sure I don't sacrifice my goals. So if I help you do yours, then I'm going to sacrifice mine. So the element about it at Qualcomm, what's been different is we had some pretty progressive leaders, including like myself, but also in sales, that it's one thing when you're kind of like already a leader and can rest on your laurels, but remember, we're trying to go into a space that we're not the leader and we have to like fight to get in there. And it's one thing having a good product, but it's another thing selling, marketing it, and having people buy it, right? We know this in our industry. And so in this, we felt very much more like the underdog, but many of us had come from industries that had these types of capabilities, but we were also in it to know we really wanted to be successful. And so a group of us from both sales and marketing got together with our IT friends, and we had like a really deep conversation about how we as what are functions in the organization can help the business proposition of the organization come to life. And we actually worked with Deloitte and Adobe. We called it Delobi because we're marketing, my boss had to name it. Delobi, that team, actually we went in and all of us together pitched this solution to our CFO. And in that process, all of us coming together, and he kind of looked around the room and they'd be like, do you need it? Do you need it? Do you need it? And all of us saying, yes, we needed it, made it happen. And it was, in fairness, like it was a huge investment for our company to do, but it's enabled the foundation of what we're able to be successful with today about these transformation and the diversification businesses. So I would tell you that of the 3 times I've done it, this is definitely the most rewarding. Because we came together, we were cross-functional organizations, we had a steering committee and a PMO, we had money set aside, we had a capital expenditure and a SIP plan for what was SIPable, what was not. Like, it was official. And I can be very proud to say we did it. And that's why I have this new job, is because we did that job, which is actually really fantastic. And it was that cross-collaboration and probably more the maturity of myself to realize it was better together versus separate. So there's definitely some of that from my perspective as well. And I knew how to do it, so it was more about teaching it and getting the right staff. And I knew what to say, that I wouldn't do it unless I could hire staff. I wouldn't do it unless I have the money. So those things, like the more maturity in my ability is also a factor, I would say.
I would love it if my CFO was content with a yes or no response to budgeting questions.
I mean, we did a lot of
very
work,
democratic,
clearly,
actually.
yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great. How about some practical insights that you can share on building a relationship of trust between sales and marketing professionals as it relates to using these AI tools?
Yeah, so the AI tools and the elements of I think there's, so we always have this dichotomy of, did marketing actually help drive a sale? I mean, this is like the age-old question and kind of the fight. Do they pick up the lead? Do they not pick up the lead? How's that going? I still think that there are some elements of AI tools that we implemented that have helped us significantly. One of them, I'll give you another, is 6 Sense, which actually looks at intent signals out in the market based on key accounts. I see some people nodding their heads. They might know what 6 Sense is. And those intent signals really help to identify what customers are engaging with our content or like content that would be like what we would be doing, and being able to help drive that. And so that's a key part of our MarTech stack. But they didn't buy into those signals very easily. It was met with a lot of resistance, actually, from our sales team. And it took a lot of time going through, showing them the data. They didn't even want to let people in it to see what was in there. So it wasn't like it was an easy thing. Mm-hmm. But eventually, just the time and the credibility was there. And then the other part, sometimes you have to realize in these, it may not be the time. And so you might need a bigger issue. And what I mean by that is there's something called the change formula. Has anyone heard of the change formula? No? Okay. Yes, one person. So the change formula, actually, it was my professional coach that shared this with me. That is, you might be trying to push something up a hill so hard, but the problem isn't big enough or painful enough where people are willing to do anything about it. So you got to wait till it hurts, until that's when people are going to be willing to do something. And then you can get the power and the momentum to equal the change. And so compute finally was the pain, okay? We'd been investing a lot of money. We acquired a company. We knew we really wanted to do this well. We were investing our engineering efforts. And that was, I'm not going to call it the pain, but it was the problem. Meaning, or what I would say, opportunity, the opportunity cost of us not doing that. So because we had a big enough element there, that's when the sales team really got in with us and everything started to roll more smoothly. Everyone got their, rolled up their sleeves and really started working on it. And that's when we got the most solid models out of utilizing both that, but then into Salesforce and using Einstein and all the different models on top of it. So it's like you got to make sure you're working on something that really gives people a benefit back. If it's just an idea in the sky, you maybe should go find something else.
Do you expect to see that sales resistance kind of muted or remedied a bit moving forward now that you've done the big transformation, or is that something that
no.
you have some best practices around?
No, actually, we've made really good friends and friendships and partnerships and trust. And so even this week, we are in every single meeting that they are in, meeting with customers this week. So either me or a member of my team, we're in there with them helping. And so it's like a three-legged stool between us and sales and the business unit. Marketing is a really key part. And that's not just from our sales team, but also our executive leaders. So our business leaders and our executive leadership team at the top have that expectation and are helping to drive it through. So actually, no, I think that through this process and what we did on this go-to-market transformation and those relationships are yielding us a ton of benefits into the time we're in now.
Fantastic. Awesome. Let's see. We have a few more minutes here. Let's move on to the future.
Okay.
All right. So AI and the future of marketing. So as we move away from 2024 and into 2025, what evolution are you seeing in how marketing professionals experiment with and utilize AI, and any new capabilities that you're seeing emerge?
Yes, thank you. There's a lot that we can all imagine that will be out there, but we have a pretty big prediction, and I think we can all see this happening in how we engage with things already ourselves today, and that is that AI will become more the UI of how we're engaging with things. Even already, so many of us talk to text to ask and all of those different things, and that's just going to become a bigger way of how we actually start engaging with platforms, technology, and apps in different ways. And it's going to be really awesome to see how that comes to life. And we get a little bit of it now, but I think it's going to become super transformational. And I also think that because so many of us are starting to have expectations about how we engage with AI, the barrier to doing that, our expectations are going to be super low, meaning it needs to be easy. Like, it needs to be easily a part of every day of how we do things in our workflow, and that's going to be there. And I think that the other piece that we are very lucky, actually, as a marketing profession, is that AI is a huge part of what we do, and they're building stuff for us, and technology partners are there for us. And it's a really sweet spot in an industry to be in that gets to benefit so greatly from AI. Not everyone potentially could say that. Financial services, coding, engineering a bit, but we're pretty fortunate in marketing to have so much AI interfaces.
All right. And you're seeing that people are embracing it more, not fearing it. People are leaning in and experiencing the benefits more, and that's scalable, and you're able to kind of plan 12, 18 months out around some of these emerging trends?
I think there's that, and people's expectations of integrating into how they do their work. I mean, performance reviews. I'm sure you all used it to do your performance reviews in the audience. I got some really amazing performance reviews written. I read them all for the feedback. I was like, whoa, I mean, I didn't know they could write like that. So I think that just that, yeah, you. Anyway, so I think that there is just a lot of that's going to be coming, and there's still resistance. It's not all rosy, like I was saying. Especially, I think there's some sensitivity in the creative space because that's so close to people's heart, and that creative element. I think that there's going to be some low-hanging fruit around creative that people are going to do. That's why you see Adobe Express and people wanting that. But the broader part of the creative thought process, that still takes that human knowledge and insight and information to go through. So I think that there are elements like that we're going to start carving out the spaces where we contribute in our human mind frame and that human touch and the human nature of things, and then deciding how AI just helps us along that path.
Great. Well, we have a few minutes. Would you like to see if the audience has any questions?
We can do a question or two if the audience has
Anyone have any questions? Oh, we got one in the back.
Thank you so very much for hosting this. I have a basic but very curious question for Ms. Carmen. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, what is the most effective Gen AI tool to help enable sales and marketing? Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a super good question. It would be hard to name just one most effective tool. Because I think everyone's job and role is very unique to them and what they need in order to be successful. I gave the comms example. I gave other examples. Right now, I think text is pretty out there for us right now, and that is really advanced and can be extremely helpful. But I think the elements of, like I was mentioning, on-device AI and translations and how we customize marketing materials for different audiences and spaces like that, it's going to be really interesting to see where we go with that and how that can really help us jump to the next space. So it's just, I think it's that supplemental knowledge of things that we're still looking for, and it'd be really interesting to see how we refine it over time.
Great. Anyone else? We have time for one more.
Thank you. How quickly do you guys refresh, and how do you validate what gets to be either in the experimentation stack or like a big part of the business moving forward? That's a huge question for us all moving.
Yeah,
into the
so do you
future.
mean from like a MarTech perspective?
Yeah, like how does something get like into the trial list, and how does it get into the like that's very useful and I want to do something maybe bespoke or custom with it?
Sure. So we have some really smart people that work for us, that work for me on the team, and they're fantastic. And we look at really any idea that people bring forward or a suggestion of a partnership. The WonderCo company that was kind of the backing for Writer in that and their team. They have other types of things that they're bringing forward that we're looking at to utilize potentially to help us. It's really got to connect to the business and meet those fundamental requirements that we have to be enterprise grade and to be welcome into our system, because we have a lot that we are careful about and that we want to take care of, as any business does when it comes to intellectual property or things like that. But helping to optimize around our business, we look at anything and we evaluate it and see, does it have a business play in that, and we're willing to do it if we don't have an alternative solution that's already in place, for sure. So I would say that we're very quick, we're very thorough about it, and because we have such an extensive knowledge of AI landscape holistically, we're very smart about it as well. So it's good.
Great. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
You're
it.
welcome.
Great
Thank you,
info.
Sam.
That's great. Thank you so much.